Good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I just want to say welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome everybody to the Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation's August 2025 Lunch and Learn session. My name is Melissa Higginbotham, and I am the newest member of the Board of Directors for the Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation. And I have the honor of being your facilitator today for this session. But before we go any further, I would like to invite our beloved fellow board member, Myrna, to explain our simultaneous Spanish translation feature. So let me turn the mic over now to Myrna.
Thank you, Reverend Misty. Gracias. All right. So as you know, the Learn to Learn are translated simultaneously. So I invite you, if this is your first time, if you're part of this, you already know it. But I'm going to say it again. If it's your first time, go at the bottom of the screen, click on the three dots that says More. You will find Translation. And from there, click your language that you speak and understand. It will be English or Spanish. Para los que están aquí, compañeros, creo que ya todos saben cómo funciona esto. Si pueden seleccionar en el mundito su lenguaje al español para poder escuchar la traducción.
Okay, this is the same message in English.
Yes, so if you speak English, pick the English. If you speak Spanish, and you'll be able to hear. It doesn't matter who speaks, you'll be able to understand the language. And that's it. With that, I'll pass my voice to Reverend Missy.
Well, let's open with an invocation. So let's everybody just kind of close your eyes and take a few gentle belly breaths. Just allow the body to relax, be like a child, and allow the body to just breathe in the omnipresence of the divine, the holy breath, and settle down into the light, into the heart space, into that space where there's the divine flame within your heart space, what Ernest Holmes called the practitioner space within. Within that space, in the center, within the center, into the center. A secret hiding place where there's silence, the voice within. Love is there. Peace is there. God is there. As without, so within, so within, so without. The omnipresence of the divine. God is you as you is you, Ernest Holmes says. So feel that peace within. That is you, the omnipresence. That is light. And allow that light as you breathe just to travel throughout your body, to flow throughout your Godness within your body, to flow down through the totality of self, to flow through and encompass and flow through and infuse every cell of your body, every atom, and flow down through that central divine pillar, down into Mother Earth so that you can bless Mother Earth with the flow of the divine that comes in with every breath you take. The Holy Spirit, which is flowing through you, within you, and as you, in this moment, this now moment of time. And as you breathe in the divinity which is with you and as you, and you send it down through you into the earth below you, you know that everywhere you walk then is holy ground. Because the omnipresence of the divine means that everything is God. The earth is God, you are God. The breath is God. The omnipresence God is you as you is you. Within you is the silence. Within you is the isness. Within you is the love. That is peace. And knowing this, all is well and in divine order. And so knowing this and feeling this in the breath, we can just let it be. And so it is, and so we let it be so, and so it is. And so we can now come and let your fingers be in your hands and your feet wiggle your feet. And just stay centered in that heart space. Because that is the place that Ernest Holmes always says go back to. Where principle resides, where there is no worry. And that is the subject of today's talk. How not to worry. And this audio file is a previously unreleased recording and is also an unedited version of Series 1 phonograph records made by Dr. Ernest Holmes in the late 1950s for the Series 1 45 RPM records. And Dr. Holmes released 13 records in this series in 1957. And when you listen to it, you'll hear some stops and starts and pauses, but that was part of the original audio and then part of the original recording. And I've put into the chat box the URL for this recording and the URLs for the website for several others recordings related to this. So if you are interested in downloading some from the website later on, you can do that from the Science of Mind Archives website. And I wanted to share with you some notes that I took related to the recording. And starting at the 1 minute 19 point of the recording, Ernest Holmes says that the real you, this friend, is within you. And it's interesting because this is the presence. And Dr. Ernest Holmes, as many of you know, was very well read. He read a lot of the Eastern mystics. And Rumi and Hafiz talk about this, that the presence within you is the friend. That is God with you. God in you, as you, in you. And he talks and he says that God in you, as you, is you in his practitioner training class in 1958. And then he goes on and in a lot of his recordings, he says, he reminds you of principle that you are, that the presence is within you. And then he lays out the issue that we're all challenged with. And we are challenged with anxiety and fear and worry. It's out there. We can feel it. But he says, don't forget, God is in you. And yes, there's this challenge. And then he gives you the solution. But he first says that anxiety is contagious, but faith can be contagious and heal. And faith is more contagious than fear because it is built on a reality that is changeless and eternal. And at 218 point, he says, what happens to darkness when you bring light into a room? Now, Ernest Holmes has a lot of mythic things in his writings, and this reminds me of those of you that are Harry Potter fans, when Dumbledore says, happiness can be found even in the darkest times if one only remembers to turn on the light. So what happens to darkness when you bring light into a room? And you have to remember that you are the light. The light is within you. That is the presence. The divine flame never goes out. You just have to remember. And at the 431 point, he says, the healing power of love and confidence will protect you. And then at the 6 minute, he gives you rules to follow. So you can listen to that and see if any of those rules are something that you can take to heart and put into operation in your life. And then he reminds you once again at 1058, we are rooted in pure spirit. There is something in me which is not afraid. And at 11:41, he says, "Be Leo the lion. I am endowed with courage and confidence." And that reminded me again of the hero's journey having to do with the Wizard of Oz, the Wiz. When that song says, "Be the lion," be that courage. And then at the 12 minute, he gives you what he calls the power of affirmative prayer, and there's a shield affirmation. So let's go ahead now and listen to it, and find your ahas, so that when we come back to breakout rooms, we can share perhaps the ahas that we found, or some things that kind of get us and say, "Oh, I can use that," or "Yeah, that's happened to me," or "This is what I've worked with," and we can share that with each other. And Myrna will send us into the breakout room. Oh, I'm sorry. Will send us at that time into the breakout rooms, but meanwhile, Kathy will now play the recording.
How Not to Worry by Ernest Holmes.
I can hardly hear. Could you turn it up a bit, please?
And they also tell us that we are told that we can acquire an anxiety complex merely by listening to those who are anxious. They also tell us that people who are anxious should have someone to talk over their anxiety with, someone they can unload it on. Otherwise, the anxiety piles up in the mind until finally it becomes unendurable. We all need a friend, one upon whom we may rely, one who will always be there. We need a friend whose wisdom is great, in whom we have implicit confidence, and one who will never let us down. Well, life had this all figured out long before you and I were born, and it implanted in us a spiritual self, the very center of our being, the real you. This friend is always with you. Wherever you go, this friend goes, knows everything you think, and can answer your every need. It isn't necessary to be anxious. It isn't necessary to be afraid. But if anxiety is contagious and can produce all kinds of bad results, why wouldn't an opposite mental attitude produce an opposite result? In other words, faith can heal fear, just as
I'm glad his voice is nice. I've listened to him before, and it was a
just as
high squeaky.
contagious as fear, and more so, because faith is built on a reality which is changeless and eternal, which is God, while fear is built on the belief that evil is equal to good. And this would be as absurd as to believe that darkness is equal to light. For just what happens to darkness when you bring a light into the room? And what happens to fear when you introduce faith? It no longer exists. What happens to your anxiety when confidence is restored? It disappears as a thief in the night. There is a place in your mind where thieves cannot break through and steal, where darkness cannot penetrate, where fear is unknown. Now you can employ a good physician who will do everything in his power to help you physically, and you can employ a wise counselor who can help you to straighten out your emotional difficulties. But you cannot employ someone to live for you, for this is impossible. And this is why you are wonderful. This is what is wonderful about you. Life has made you the gift of life, but you will have to accept it, and you will have to use it. If anxiety and fear are contagious, then so are unhappiness and doubt. There are mental germs of thought, too, that enter the mind and infect and stagnate and congest. Discouragement is contagious. Hostility is contagious. Animosity is contagious, each having its own germ of thought, each producing an effect like itself. In medical science, they try to set up an immunity to disease. They inject serums in the body so it won't contract disease. And when people lack faith and confidence in life, they also have to have something injected in them that will make them immune to unhappiness and failure. For every doubt, there must be a faith that overpowers that doubt. This healing power with which you must become inoculated, so that when you enter an atmosphere of anxiety you won't catch it, this healing power is the healing power of love and confidence. And when you are surrounded by uncertain conditions, you won't lose confidence, because the germ of fear has entered into your thought, because this healing power will protect you, and your confidence in life will protect you. It is coming to know yourself hid with Christ in God, that is, in Him you live and move and have your being, and some part of the being of God is in you, or you wouldn't be here. It is in this Spirit, then, that you are to confide. It is with this Spirit that you are to commune. Must become more real to you than anything else in life. It must be the supreme reality. It is a friend who will never desert you. It is a power that knows nothing about weakness, a confidence that knows nothing about fear, and it is a warm, loving presence filled with light. There isn't anywhere that you go to find this power. You do not even develop it. You didn't put the power there at all to begin with. It is already there. All that you can do is to use it, just like any other law or force in nature. But you have to use it in confidence and trust. And now there are a few simple rules that it might be wise for you to follow. First of all, if fear and anxiety and doubt, uncertainty, unhappiness, and discouragement are contagious, just don't think about them, and don't read about them, and don't listen to them. And if you find it necessary to be in their presence temporarily, just do what the Bible calls putting on the whole armor of faith, which really means surround yourself with your own atmosphere of affirmative thought. And when you do put on this whole armor of faith, negative thoughts cannot enter. What the world needs today, more than anything else and above all other things, is the actual proof, the definite and tangible result of an ever-growing number of people who are willing to try the greatest experiment that the human mind can engage in, the experiment of faith. And why don't you become a specialist in this field? First in your own life, next in your family, and then with all of your associates. Because faith is contagious, and when you exercise it, you will discover that people around you will begin to catch it. Then you ought to try it, because this is a good germ. This is something we all ought to be inoculated with. And when you have a feeling of love, this too will be contagious, and you will be helping to dissipate the animosity around you. Well, this will be a very happy adventure. It is wonderful to discover a gold mine or an oil well, but here within you is the oil of the Spirit, and the only real wealth that there could be. Here in you is the wellspring of life itself, the eternal good and the everlasting peace. Moreover, anxiety attacks our bodies as well as our minds. Behind many cases of high blood pressure and heart disease, there is an anxiety and a worry complex. It is interesting to see how this works. When we begin to express our anxiety, our muscles contract. And when our muscles contract, less space is provided for the flow of blood, and so the blood vessels are crowded. And when this happens, the heart works harder to pump the blood through the system. If, on the other hand, anxiety expresses itself in our mental activities rather than in our physical bodies, we see a crippling of our mental attitudes. The person becomes a defeatist. He is fearful at times even of the most normal situation. Frequently he loses control of his emotions in the simplest activity. This, carried to an extreme degree, is what is called an anxiety neurosis. In infancy, an anxiety pattern perhaps was established in the subconscious. The fact that it was established there is not as important as the fact that it could be, for there is nothing in the mind that the mind hasn't put there. Consequently, there is nothing there that the mind cannot change. And right here is where our faith must enter, because it makes no difference how much we know about these laws of mind. It isn't enough just to know that our minds are mirrors reflecting our inward consciousness and our unconscious thoughts into our everyday lives. What we need to know is that spiritual conviction is the greatest power there is. Affirmative prayer is the most effective prayer there is. What is it that we are reflecting? Here is something that is good for us to know. Before ever we reflected a neurotic pattern of any kind, there was a divine pattern reflected in us by a power greater than we are. The whole creative power of the universe, which is always perfect, and which is still with us, which has never left us. It is no way subject to the limitation of time or to the sequence of events. It is the eternal now, the everlasting here, and the God who has never deserted his own creation. Well, someone might say, so you're trying to lead us back to religion. No, I am not trying to lead anyone anywhere. I am merely pointing out some self-evident facts. Man is rooted in pure spirit and in perfect life, and he will be free from fear and doubt and worry only when he finds a faith and a confidence and a conviction greater than his former limitation. For every fear, then, we must find a faith, and we must substitute certainty for uncertainty. Just put this to work and see what happens. Say to yourself, there is something within me that is not afraid, no matter what the appearance may be. There is something in me that is never anxious, for it knows that everything is all right, in spite of my worries, in spite of my futile attempts. And say to yourself and mean it, I am endowed with courage and confidence. I face life with a seed of victory in my attitude and in my expectation, and I am established in the presence of the infinite good. The life of God is my life. The mind of God is my mind right now. I open up my heart to the influx of this life, and I know that the love which floods my being heals my body and dispels every shadow of doubt or fear or anxiety. The truth of my spiritual being sets me free from the bondage of ignorance. Divine intelligence directs my thought and path, and I know that I move into life's activity with a calm and a poise and an assurance that never wavers. And I dwell in the house of the Lord forever and rejoice in the divine companionship of that infinite presence which sustains me. All that the Father hath is mine. This I accept, and this I expect. And believing that the kingdom of God is at hand, and that the power of good is right here, I say to every doubt, arise, take up your bed and walk, be strong, be confident, be unafraid. I say to everything that is little in my life, expand, increase, believe in the greater opportunity, know that you are one with good forever. And I say to every unkind thought, be gracious, be kind, be loving, reach out to everything around you in the fellowship of the Spirit, and know that God is at the center of all things. And I say to my mind, be noble in purpose, be resolute in conviction, be strong in the strength of faith. And I say to every doubt or confusion, be calm, be poised, be at peace. And to all sense of aloneness I say, you are one with all the presence and all the power and all the good there is. You live and move and have your being in a divine presence, which is filled with warmth and color and light, in an eternal good which forevermore guides you into the pathways of peace, of joy, and happiness. And I say unto the great God around within, me and everything, lead thou me on.
Wow, that was pretty great. I always hear different things every time I listen to him. So Myrna will now put us into rooms that just, and those aha moments, anything that that you have to share with each other, anything that struck you as that you want to share, that perhaps that any gems that you gleaned from the recording, and then we'll come back in 15 minutes. Okay, Myrna.
All right, they're ready. Okay, I'm going to mute everybody. And when it's time for you to speak, you can unmute. I think Reverend Missy froze and left. I don't see.
I'm sorry, did you say something to me? I thought I heard my name.
No, Reverend Missy.
Oh,
Sorry.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Is anybody going to say something?
Yeah,
but
we're
I
waiting
think
for Reverend Missy.
Yeah.
Just here she comes. Thank
I
you.
know, I disappeared. You know, all of a sudden it went down. And isn't it interesting? Right after I said, it's like magic. And then I disappeared. It was the great disappearing act. Anyway, anybody have any feedback to share with the group?
In our group, we discussed the idea of being contagious, that worry is contagious, and so is faith. So we spent a little time thinking about that.
Okay, so
But
I
I'm
think
Marjorie from
Marjorie is
Calgary.
Marjorie. Yeah, hold on. We have different names.
Okay. So is it, oh, okay. Marjorie.
Yeah, sorry, I should have introduced myself. I'm Marjorie. I'm from Calgary. And yeah, we talked about this idea of contagious, being contagious, thought, worry being contagious, and also faith, and replacing the worry with with the joy or with other thoughts is also contagious, and they builds on itself.
Yeah. There's been a lot of scientific research done on the frequency of joy and how the frequency of joy is actually greater than the other frequencies of fear. Worry and anxiety is a frequency of fear, and how those are lower frequencies than joy. And if we can access a moment of remembrance of joy, we can actually then make changes in the brain and make changes in the heart space and then access that. So thank you for that feedback. Yes. Okay. And then Maite Cortez Santana.
Sí, gracias. Sí. Bueno, en nuestro grupo
Well, our
surgió un
group,
diálogo interesante
there was an
respecto a
interesting
lo que nos
dialogue in
impactó con
regards to
respecto
what
a la armadura, a esta
caught
armadura
our
espiritual que
attention
nos
about
protege,
the
porque
spiritual
usualmente la
armor that
armadura la
protects us,
asociamos a la
because
guerra,
normally an
¿no? Yo
armor
me
is
protejo con una
associated
armadura
with
porque voy al
war,
combate, a la
because
guerra.
I
¿Se
am in
escucha bien?
combat. Can you hear me?
Okay, I need interpretation, please.
Ah, ya, la interpretación.
So, can you hear me well is what she just asked. And she's talking about the armor. And when we think about an armor, we think about going to war. But it's reframing the armor in a different way. And that's where she's heading right now in the discussion.
Can you hear me now?
Reverend Missy, I'm going to interfere a little bit here. So for those that speak English, so Maite is going to start speaking Spanish. Make sure that you have going into the three dots or the interpretation at the bottom and select your language so you can hear actually Lorenza interpreting in different languages. But make sure you select English to understand what Maite is saying, or any Spanish speaker, and vice versa.
So what was it about the armor?
Ya, sí, bueno,
Yes,
entonces lo que decíamos es que
So what we were
Let me
saying,
get back to English. Okay, great. Okay.
sí, adelante.
lo
Okay.
que decíamos es que
What we said
usualmente
was
nos
that
preparamos con
we
una armadura
usually
para la
get
guerra
ready with an armor
y
to go to
usualmente
war,
afrontar
and usually,
desafíos que nos
face
generan estrés es
challenges
como ir a la
that are
guerra.
stressful. That's
Entonces, qué
like going to
importante tener
war.
una armadura
So how
espiritual para esos
important it is
desafíos,
to have a
pero con
spiritual
justamente nos hace
frequently we
ponernos
use
una máscara.
fear,
Entonces
which is
es
like a
como
mask. So it is
las
like
balas, las
like
flechas vienen
them,
ni las
and then I
Si
I
yo
have a mask
confío en
on,
que me pongo mi
but if
armadura,
I
es que eso
see
es
them,
inevitable.
because that's
O sea, hay cosas
unavoidable.
que corresponden a
I
las
mean,
leyes de
there are
causa y
things that
efecto y me van
go
a
with the
venir las
cause and
flechas y
effect
las
laws,
balas.
and
Pero si yo
arrows and
tengo mi
bullets will
armadura
come.
espiritual,
But
me
if
voy
I
a
do have my
proteger.
spiritual armor, I will be protected.
Yes.
Entonces, qué importante
And so,
recordar
how important it
que
is
yo no
to
necesito
that I do
no
not stop being
convertir mi
me.
identidad en la
I do
identidad de otra
not need to
persona.
change
No
my identity
necesito
into somebody else's identity. I do not
dejar
need
de ser yo.
to stop being me.
Basta con que sea yo, con mi
It
protección me
happens
olvido
is
de
that I
ser yo
forget
porque
about
tengo
being
miedo
me
de las
because I'm
balas.
afraid of the
Tengo
bullets.
miedo de las flechas.
I'm
Y
afraid
en
of.
lugar
So
espiritualmente
it's and
que
if I
tengo
cannot put on
amigos y
the
amigas que me
spiritual to remind me
yo te
of
ayudo a
that
ponértela.
armor.
Te están para eso,
Friends
para
are there for
ayudarnos
that.
a que
Our
las
sides.
flechas no las vas a poder
And arrows
esas
will come.
flechas.
Avoid
No
bullets.
las creé, pues.
them
pero sí
myself,
puedo
but I
afrontarlas con mi
can
armadura espiritual. Ha
face
sido
them
maravilloso
with my
venir a
spiritual.
Learn and
to- Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. That is brilliant. And how true, even in the quantum, it's all one, and the frequency of that love and knowing the presence within actually creates that armor. And that's the authentic you. That is the Christ consciousness within you, the God presence within you. And so you can be, when you see with the eyes of the divine, that actually builds in an energetic sense the armor which any of those bullets and slings that people and arrows that people shoot at you have to bounce off, have to dissolve, because that is physics. That is principle. That is essentially spiritual law. And so you can be yourself. You can be who you are in truth. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. Anybody else? I can't see since it's in since you.
I can go.
Okay.
Hello,
Who's next?
this is Rob in Southern California, and what I'm taking from this lunch and learn, both from Ernest Holmes' talk and from the wonderful beings that I spent time with in my group, is that reminder that it's my work to do. No one else can make my choices. No one else can do this thing called life. And that I'm putting on a face to the wonderful reminder as we were closing up our group. How I approach those conditions, and as long as I'm grounded in principle and showing up as the spirit within me, the conditions out there don't matter. It's about my consciousness.
Yeah.
And I'm
Thank
complete.
you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else?
Thing is, I don't know how to pronounce your name.
It's Jeannie.
Jeannie, okay.
This is a new computer, and somehow it has me registered as what you see up there. But it's Jeannie Jensen, and I'm in wonderful, balmy Wilmington, North Carolina. Couple things. Wanted to know if there's a printout of the treatment that he gave at the end, because that was awesome, and perhaps an actual recording, if there's access to the actual recording. And I gather there's on the archive, but I was suggesting perhaps making it available to those of us in this meeting, because that was like really cool. He went really quickly, so it's kind of as a keepsake, so to speak, from this meeting. But yeah, he had a lot of wonderful nuggets in this very short message, and Maite's take on it was really so delightful. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I know you can get the recording on the website, and also you can, this will be on replay in YouTube, and so you'll be able to hear it again. So you can always save it to your YouTube channel and listen to it. Pardon?
What's the title of it?
It will be Lunch and Learn August. When Kathy, when will it be up on YouTube? It will probably be in a couple days, but it will be up on the Science of Mind Archives YouTube channel. So you will have access to it.
Yeah, we will post the link in the chat. It's the Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation. We have all the old Lunch and Learns on there as well. So it's really a valuable resource, among other things.
Now, is access to this free or is?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's free. You bet.
Okay.
It's YouTube free.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay. And I think we're getting close to having to leave. We have only 3 more minutes, so I need to turn it over to our executive director, Kathy Mastriani, for updates on the Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation. Kathy, you want to unmute?
You bet. Yes. Hi, I'm having interesting computers, but I'm not going to worry because I heard Ernest and I'm good. All right. Well, welcome. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for being here. A big thank you to Dr. Missy. This is her first Lunch and Learn, and boy, did she do a great job. So just sending some gratitude out to her. And I am going to share with you briefly our website, scienceofmindarchives.com. Let me pull it up and then I will share screen and we will be good to go. It's just really a great resource for everyone here for your spiritual journey, for your personal journey, for being in this field of science of mind or just curious. And we constantly update it. I just think the first thing on the website here is, so when you're a friend of the archives, and so these memberships support the digitization and the preservation work that we do, so we can do Lunch and Learns like this for you. When you're a friend, we're doing more presentations. They'll be complimentary. They're included in your membership. They're only, as you can see, $16 a month or more, or $189 a year. And I am going to brag on myself just a little bit, because if you go to join us individual, I did not know what I was doing, but God did. And this is a great example. And God is as my chat GPT. So what we've now added, a lot of people do donate through our donate button. But if you go here to become a friend, right down here, your gift amount, you can actually change it. You can add more. I mean, you can't go less, but you can put whatever amount is on your heart that you would like to give per month. And so it's just kind of lovely that it's variable or per year. There's also the per year amount. But that way, the cool thing is this integrates with the website and gives you a free website subscription is included in this being a friend of the archives. So we're really grateful about that. And what Dr. Missy was sharing is, for her, she was researching this. If you go to the little search icon here, she just typed in the word worry. And if you just type in worry, all of a sudden, all these How to Stop Worrying by Ernest Holmes, the audio prayer, How to Stop Worrying, all these resources just pop up. And there's the transcript, and even Where is God? And so it's just, our search is getting better and better, and our resources are getting better and better. We're making them available for you. And so that is the quickest little infomercial that I'll give you, right? We're so grateful. Thank you for coming. As you know, it's I'll just hand it back over to Dr. Missy.
Yes, I just, before the closing prayer, I just wanted to give a note that next month during the September Lunch and Learn, Myrna Lopez Trevithick will be facilitating the unreleased and unedited version of the Series 1 phonograph record, Your Invisible Guest. So it'll be one of those that we haven't really heard before. So we really encourage you to attend next month. It will be another really nice Lunch and Learn. So in closing, I wrote a prayer based on what I call the shield affirmation. He calls it the armor, but I call it the shield affirmation. And so if we just want to just quickly close our eyes, take another breath, and just go into your heart space and just feel the words. The life of God is my life. The mind of God is my mind right now, right here, right now. The love which floods every aspect of me dispels every fear and bit of anxiety. The truth of my spiritual being sets me free. The grace of God is within me. The love of God surrounds me. Knowing this, all is well and truly in divine order. So be it, and so I let it be so. And so it is. Thank you all for coming and blessing us all with your presence. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And have a wonderful day, week, and month as you radiate your presence of God within and bless all those with whom you come into contact. Thank you all.